Hey guys, good Monday morning, and thanks for checking out your latest long-range forecast update. Michael Clark here with FAM Weather and the Weather Portal. Lot to discuss here today, including a long-awaited, warmer and drier stretch here for field work to finally start happening as we look ahead here into the next few weeks, and then getting into June. What does June look like? Well, I've got some good intel here for you to try and give you at least a good idea of what we're thinking going forward here with the medium and long-range weather patterns. So let's get right into it. Guys, we encourage the long-range videos because we really can hit on some key points. We really make calls that a lot of other individuals, a lot of other sources just will not make. They just won't say them. They won't do it. And examples here of hitting long-range forecasts, for example, this severe weather outbreak that happened here over the last couple of days was talked about back on May 11th. Not to mention, in that same video, we talked about plant delays and the unfavorable pattern going through much of April and early May. And in that video, we also said that after the 10th of May, that planting weather would become more favorable. So, yeah, I'm patting us on the back for a second because watching these videos on a daily basis is just going to do nothing but position you better to make decisions for your operation. All right. So, and that's what we're here to do. We're just here to help. That's what we're passionate about, is helping people. So, here's a look at rainfall the last 7 days, and you can see just about everybody's been getting in on the rain, especially across the central and south central U.S. Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, down through Oklahoma. And some of this has come in the form of severe weather. It's also been very wet here in the east. Now, in relevance to normal, nothing that's been too crazy abnormal the further east and southeast you go. It's really just been about timing. Maybe the extremity from normal, not as much, but just the unfortunate series of events of time here over the last couple of weeks have just made field work near impossible. And that's what the challenge has been. So let's go forward here and kind of take a look at this. We obviously note the thunderstorms going on up here across the northern plains, west of Minneapolis, east of Aberdeen there, South Dakota. This is an impressive line of thunderstorms, some severe thunderstorm warnings, vivid lightning. These folks up here, they just cannot catch a break across the northern plains, the Dakotas and Minnesota. And unfortunately, the weather pattern here just does not look to let up. Does not look to get any better anytime soon. All right, unfortunately, that can be incredibly frustrating for the folks up there. You look here at our weeks 1 and 2 precipitation, or just the week 1 here. I'm sorry, the week 1 precipitation forecast from the European and the GFS here. Favored model guidance here this morning, European model for rainfall here over the next 7 days. Again, you can see just the sheer amount of rainfall forecasted here the next 7 days. I really just don't know at this point how there's going to be any field work at all possible up here. I don't know how anyone's going to get out and do anything. Cooler than normal temperatures and wetter than average precipitation pattern. It's just an absolutely brutal pattern up here. Precipitation the next 7 days shown here, and then go elsewhere. There's rain chances. It's just not much. It's below average for sure, and it's certainly going to open up the window for work to be done, we believe. This is a look at the 5-day chunks here over the next 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and 11 to 15-day time frames. We've made some adjustments to our color tables here for a little bit more easier readout to the eye, and I really like these, just a little bit more simple. But you can see here in the 6 to 10, if anything, there's at or slightly below normal rainfall favored in this region here. The GFS a little bit wetter here in the east. It's the GFS. It's going to change every time you look at it. But in terms of the pattern in general, better odds to the east and the northeast here in the 6 to 10 day for precipitation. And you look here in the 11 to 15 in both the EPS and the GEFS. Again, kind of the same thing. This doesn't mean that it won't rain here. That's not what it's saying. This is just average rainfall. It's 75 to 120% of the normal rain in that period. So there's no huge takeaway other than normal precip in the 11 to 15 across the top and over the east. The GEFS is a little bit wetter, and I think honestly, just by the looks of everything and the data, I think the best way to look at this right now is a mixture of the two. And I always hate to say that because everybody says that, but I think with the storm dates and everything going on here, it might be the best way to look at this. So our week 2 forecast, it's kind of a blend of the two. Again, where we are going to stay certainly above normal precip is the Northern Plains, Southern Canadian prairies, and then up into the Northeast Ag Belt here, the Great Lakes, the interior Northeast, to stay a little bit more active. But at least good news for a very large chunk of the Ag Belt, where I think there's going to be a lot of progress made in terms of getting crop in the ground. So can't complain about that. Just got a target where it's going to continue to probably stay a little bit wetter, and it's pretty wet up in here too, guys. And we have a lot of customers up in here. Just something to keep in mind. Some of them are messaging us this morning. They're trying to figure out these windows. Just talk to us. We'll give you the best we can and make decisions with you. All right. So going forward, these temperatures, obviously incredibly warm here in the 1 to 5. We have this omega style blocking pattern. It resembles the Greek letter, the omega letter. It looks just like this, right? So it surges record heat up into the central U.S. in the 1 to 5, kind of an all-model agreement on that with record heat. Helping it with the dryout rates, too, evaporative transpiration rates over the next week, an inch and a half or so, which is impressive for early May standards. 6 to 10 day period, a little bit of a front will come through. This is EPS here. It'll cool it off a little bit, not much. But I want you to keep an eye on these cool air intrusions in kind of a pattern like this. A lot of indication that that's what June's going to hold. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Regardless, overall, the intensity of the warmth will wane a bit. But normal to slightly above normal will be the key theme here in central western plains, western U.S. Normal to slightly below normal may even be possible here as we get into week 2 across the east. Okay, but before I get into that, let's take a look at these. Anywhere you see the circle, we're challenging record high temperatures today. You can see 100s down across Texas, South Central Plains, even portions of Oklahoma, mid to upper 90s, Kansas. Just incredibly warm. You move it here to tomorrow. Again, the circles indicate a record high temperatures forecast to be broken. 90s Illinois, mid 80s Indiana. Look at all these 90s down here. It's impressive. Day 3, we'll roll it. Probably the warmest day. The 90s make it as far north here as Iowa, Illinois, or Iowa-Minnesota border there. Multiple lower 90-degree temperatures forecasted across much of the Midwest here. Day 4, it goes even further north. All right, we're all the way now into Minneapolis, up into Michigan. A very strong ridge here, just pumping in heat. And then day 5, and I will tell you, I think there are some of these days where it can be a little bit warmer than modeled. The model's early season heat waves can underdo the high temperatures quite a bit. So the probabilities tab in the app is great because it'll show you the risk for the warmer temps, and you can see that they work pretty well. But even, guys, just a warm week with records on tap to be broken. Now, week 2, it will subside. It will definitely pull back. A front comes through, average to below average temperatures in the east, especially in the Great Lakes, the interior Northeast. And then we're going to keep it average to slightly above, unless you're getting further down into the South Central Plains and the Southwest where it will get warmer. Okay, so let's look at this. The 1 to 5 day period. We have this ridge that's going to start breaking down. This is the ridge that's responsible for the heat, the omega blocking pattern. It's going to start to break down. Okay, watch this right here. See a trough come through over the weekend. That brings in the cooler weather. Nice cool shot here this time next week. The heat will pull back. Watch what happens to the pattern. It starts to kind of flatten out and perhaps go zonal. The severe weather threat should start to subside quite a bit. And the overall activity in the pattern should really start to wane here for much of May. I mean, I think May looks much calmer, especially in the severe weather department, the tornadoes and that kind of thing. The extended range forecast. This kind of gives us hints here towards what is the rest of May looking like? Well, it's possible that it could be, overall there could be a warmer and drier signal for the most part. Probably not significant heat like we're seeing now, but I think there's times of when we go up and down where it can be warmer, all right, and it can be certainly less active and drier as well. This is a look at the CFS Weekly. This is week 3, and you can see there's a normal signal in here with below normal precip for the most part. Week 4 warms up again, also may get wet again further back out into the central plains because, if we get any ridging in here and we have a trough here, well, you have a gradient. You see precipitation develop, and that's late May into June. And I'll tell you what, in terms of how June looks to be evolving, I don't have any problem with that because I think, looking at our analogs, looking at all the data right now, I think June's going to feature plenty of rain and storm chances, and I don't see an excessively hot risk anywhere unless you're in the far south central plains, desert southwest. But right now, June's looking, seasonal to slightly cooler than normal for a chunk here of the growing regions, and wetter than average too. These years here, these are the last 5 most recent years with negative angular momentums or negative global wind oscillation patterns here going into the month of June, and they are wet and they are not as warm. Okay, could be now. Keep in mind, it could be warmer. This is still above normal. Okay, so there is probably going to be some heat in here. They're going to have a few days that are warm, but in terms of excessive heat or anything just crazy, nothing that's jumping out to us right now on that front. Okay, June overall, if you ask me, the word favorable comes to mind, I guess, for the June weather pattern. So if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks for checking out the Long Range today. Have a great week.